We might, excuse you too and have you repeat that. That's a nice video.
A briefer summary of it, so that I want to think of the whole time.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about later. Yeah. All right, good. This is going. All right.
Okay, so I was just saying that I was fortunate to meet Jean-Paul, early and often in my years here at IBM and Almaden. And the thing that always impressed me was his humor and his humility, because he had this incredible vision always about, giving his talk about the future is not what it used to be, and connecting with the summer interns that were here, in a way that was, not, here I am to, at the expense of everybody else, but, to enrich everybody with his modesty, and yet this visionary viewpoint that he had about, you talked about the communication, the connecting people together. I mean, he did so many things with innovation and, sort of the forward-looking part of innovation as it develops, to be able to predict those things. So, I was looking today at my same time list, and he's, so his name is there, and I felt sad that he's never going to have a green square again. So, that's a sort of we have these contacts with people that we may not see very often, but we always know that we can reach out, and connect with them. And now, it just made it very tangible in a way that, here was somebody that had, been very much a part of this place. Yeah. And, we carry that with us still. Sure. Even that now that he's gone, we see that have been planted.
So how long have you been at Almaden?
Since '89. So 89. Almost 30 years this year. Yeah.
So we overlapped by 4 years.
Yeah.
I know we crossed that.
Yeah, I did.
Wow, it was pretty new when you started here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was in the IT group. So I tended to meet people trying to get services, and in those days it was not a commodity. We were doing fonts, installing fonts on printers, and it was sort of kind of like what you described on the algorithm and the chip side. We were doing the same thing with services. Now it's out of the box, but then it was we had our tools out. So I tended to meet a lot of people that way, usually people that were complaining. But Jean-Paul was not one of those.
Yeah. No.
So were you in A building? The other side of the lobby.
B.
B's on this side, right?
Yeah. We don't
A never got built. Oh, there were rooms with A numbers, but they were in the spine, I guess.
Yeah, I was
the other side of the hallway.
I was in C wing. Actually, when I came here, I was in D wing. D3. I've actually, because I came in with having babies, I've been in B, C, D, E, and the various.
You've been everywhere.
Yeah, I always wanted to be in building L, but that's what I want to focus on.
So you've been in this building longer than anybody.
Don't tell us.
I'm not going to say it. That's right now on a recording.
Yeah, so I worked for IBM for 37 years.
I should also mention that she talked about getting her PhD at Stanford. Laura got her PhD while working here. So
I was kind of a late bloomer, just a few years ago. But 37 years. I mean, at this point, a lot of the people that we're working with, of course, are less than 37. And I do sometimes say that. I say, if I feel comfortable, I say, I've been working for IBM longer than you've been on this earth.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, Ruoyi, what are your remembrances? When did you meet Jean-Paul?
Oh, actually, I met Jean-Paul in 2004. And because I spent 9 years on Carter Road, and I came to Almaden in 2004 as the technical assistant to the lab director. I introduced myself to different people. When I ran into Jean-Paul, I had a hard time pronouncing his name. I wasn't quite sure it's Paul. It's Jean-Paul. Later on, he told me it's Jean-Paul. Okay, I practiced a few times. My first impression of him is because he took me to his office, and it's covered with all sorts of newspaper articles of him, and in English and in Portuguese, and you name it. Like, wow, this guy is so famous.
Right.
And I think he's a great coach. So when I first met him, right, because I mean, when I was an engineer on Carter Road, when I give presentations to customers or internal, it's about my own work, this project, this product. And then as the technical staff for the lab director, sometimes I will get called to talk about research overview in GTO. I got extremely nervous because I didn't do those work at all. None of them were my projects. And then Jean-Paul coached me about how to tell a story. So I practiced my storytelling. It took me a few years to be comfortable about telling stories and present research overview. That's an art I would never be ever as good as Jean-Paul was.
He was excellent at that.
Yeah.
He's extremely good. And then I joined Jim's group.
Yeah.
And my first project was the impact of future technology. It's essentially a technology
Ray Strong,
forecast.
do you remember Ray Strong? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a technology forecast. You develop signposts and then sort of determine how could future things could happen. It's not really predicting. It's just like a methodology to let you envision the future, how the future will look like. And Jean-Paul loved it. And so he often will bring students and ask me to give a presentation in front of them. And then he came to the lab, less often. He used to be here most of the time, right, in my earlier days at Almond, and then later on, I guess, it's getting more and more difficult. But we still kept in touch and talked with each other. And the Facebook, I've been following Jim, the Facebook, but lately I haven't checked Facebook as often as I used to.
I don't
So because you're the one typically will post Jean-Paul's latest activity on Facebook. I typically, that's how I got his information.
I'll tell you the story about how I started doing that.
Okay. So that's my interaction with Jean-Paul, and a great coach and a great man.
Yeah. Great coach.
Mentoring.
Exactly.
And he always wanted the best for everybody. He was always trying to get people to, become their best selves. So, so I have been here in this building for, almost 20 years. Over 20 years now that I'm thinking about it. And I remember meeting Jean-Paul, and I had the same impression I think all of you did. I went to his office, and it was just like, who is this guy? He's clearly done a lot of things, and I love, I love to listen to people tell their story. It's something I enjoy. And so I remember very early on asking him, I said, you've done so much. And he would tell me his story, but then there was always these amazing things that he hadn't told me that I was sitting down about. And I realized it was hard for him to tell his story because there was so much in there. There was just so much in there. And, stories about Leon France, where his mother lived. One day I was looking at a postcard and I said, oh, I was just in Leon. That's Leon. He goes, oh yeah, that's where my mother lives. What? Something like that. So I really enjoyed, we always had some idea in business, but we'd get that out of the way in like the first minute, and then we'd spend like the next 30 minutes to an hour just talking about life and adventures and various things. So I really enjoyed the storytelling. So I really got to know Jean-Paul when he saw me do a presentation, and he took me aside gently and said, basically, that was the worst presentation. He didn't say it like that. He put it very nicely. But it was like, I think I can help you make a better presentation. And I have to say, I think I was his toughest student. Because I was very resistant. It was like, he would say, no, you've got too many words on that slide. And I was like, what? There's only like 100 words. He says, no. And he was just very patient with me. He would, but I really view him as, now he gives lots of talks. And I think they're pretty good. I'm constantly invited to the customer briefing center and stuff, and it's because of Jean-Paul, I'm sure. I don't have a lot of words on my slide now. I tell a story, And somebody to report to. And I said, oh, yeah? And he says, yeah, I need somebody to report to. And I said, so you want to report to me? And he says, if you don't mind. And I said, no, I'd be honored to have you report to me. So I said, you know, I have a lot of things people report to me in my life. And he said, really? Tell me that story. And I said, well, when I was at Apple, I had Alan Kay report to me.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And I don't know how that happened, but, and when I first started here, I had John McCarthy report to me as a contractor. And I said, now I had Jean-Paul Jacob report to me.
Yeah.
And so he was emeritus by now. And his health had started going down. And I was switching to a new group, so I told Jean-Paul, I said, look, I'm transferring out of research, and you're emeritus research, so I think you're going to have to find somebody else to report to. And he said, okay. And so we found Laura Anderson. Laura Haas.
Oh, I was going to say.
Laura Anderson in front of me. Laura Haas. So Laura Haas said, sure, I'll have Jean-Paul report. And then Laura Haas left. And Jean-Paul says, I need somebody to report to. And I said, all right, you're coming. And I said, let's check with Jeff Welser. So we checked with Jeff Welser. And Jeff said, well, you know, sure, but why don't you just report to Jim? You can still be emeritus and report to Jim. So he reported to me again. And but it was hard because at that stage, his health was getting really, really bad. And so I remember the day he wasn't coming in much. And, you know, they redesigned all of that office space over there. And I just remember having to tell Jean-Paul, oh, they want to take your office now. And he was like totally fine with it. He says, oh, I was wondering when this was going to happen. Well, I can't get down there. Would you mind, there's some stuff in my office that I want. And Carolyn and I, we got the duty of taking all those newspapers, sorting through it all. Of course, I love that because, like, I'm totally into history, biography.
Like an archive.
It was like an archive. I was just, like, enthralled by the duty. And he was, like, so apologetic. And, no, Jean-Paul, I really like this. I was taking pictures. And that's when I started posting things to the Facebook because I was finding all this cool stuff. But I always checked with him. I said, okay, Jean-Paul, do you want me to post this? And like, he didn't want certain things posted. He wanted certain things. So, and then I got this other call from Citrus, because I'm on their advisory board at Berkeley, and it was the same call. Well, Jean-Paul hasn't been into his office in a long time, and we've got these people, you know, we don't want to ask Jean-Paul, he's so great, we would be scared, but, you know, Jim, would you see if it's okay if we clear out his office? And so I had to do a double duty there, but went through the same thing. Jean-Paul was, like, totally cool with it, like, no, it's no big deal, you know, let's move on here, and I had boxes and boxes of stuff, and he said to throw it away. Oh, my goodness. And I said, I can't throw so much. And he said, well, you should just throw it away. And I said, well, I can't. And he said, well, you can't bring it to, and I visited him several times at his apartment. But I can't bring it to my apartment.
Didn't have much space?
No, I mean, he had like his apartment, he had like a lab bench with all kinds of, I mean, I didn't realize he was in hardware. He's got soldering irons and, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's a pretty small apartment. It's it's a fantastic apartment. It's a corner apartment that overlooks the bay. So you could look out and see all the sail stuff right there near Berkeley. But anyway, I said, well, I'm not going to throw this away. It's going to go in my garage. Because I'm not going to throw this away. So I had like 5 or 6 boxes of Jean-Paul awards and stuff in my garage. Someday, maybe I'll be able to sort through it all. But,
and put his papers in a.
So one of my missions is scan and archive.
Yeah.
It's okay if you get rid of the paper, but at least capture the information that was on it first.
Well, Jean-Paul really, you know, we brainstorm constantly about the future of technology. And I said, Jean-Paul, there's one thing I wish we really had today because it would make your life so much better. And he said, what is that?
Yes.
Because can you imagine John Paul with you know what an exoskeleton is? It's like a robot exterior suit that you put on and you can walk around.
It kind of strengthens your body.
Yeah, and I could just imagine
A
John.
crab is an animal with an exoskeleton.
Oh, okay, I
Did you
see.
see, like,
Or a lobster.
Avatar? Did you see the movie Avatar? Oh, okay. Yeah, they have an exoskeleton there. I could imagine John Paul in that.
Yeah.
But,
That was great.
that would have been really, really good for him.
Right?
Because I think, you know, the cancer was bad, but he was fighting that. But I really, you know, I remember going to visit him, and he was just, you know, he was always cheering me up, right? I would go in and we'd call him and cheer him up. He'd always cheer me up. He would tell me, Joe,
Yeah.
he said, but I get, you know, I knew it was hard for him just to sit there.
Yeah.
And then when he went blind, I found IBM. I think you helped me right with this. There's programs that IBM has for getting devices for the disabled. So
Yeah.
they're looking at that. And so I, you know, I was his manager.
It's hard to think of John Paul losing his abilities.
Yeah.
And all the time I remember he was perfectly healthy. The picture of health